Anyway, welcome to the Airstream members meeting, or an unusual members meeting as Tony's put it. What are we, first meeting for the year, so 2020, got our 2020 vision, so we're looking forward to expanding the network and fixing everything as Justin shakes his head. So we've got a couple of items on the agenda tonight. We've got Robert Hart from everywhere. Not sure what hat he's going to wear to speak about some LoRaWAN updates. We've got some network updates and some other miscellaneous findings and bits and pieces. So we'll start tonight with Robert Hart's LoRaWAN IoT presentation. He can lead into more about what he's going to cover, and hopefully we can get some questions answered and some more questions brought to us to help us better understand and come up with some ideas for how it's going to fit into our network. Come on up, Robert. I'll put your presentation up.
Hi, I'm Robert Hart. I'm coming officially from Port Adelaide Enfield Libraries, where last year we did we installed some LoRaWAN gateways, and we've also run some workshops in LoRaWAN, how to connect a sensor to the network and then monitor the data over the Things network using Node-RED, and bring up some nice graphs for sensors. So I'm just going to tell you a little story. So this is a presentation I've been presenting to the general public, and I'm going to simplify it and gloss over a couple of areas, but this is a presentation I've been doing. So a lot of people don't know what the Internet of Things is. I'm assuming everyone in Airstream knows what the Internet of Things is, but they are in our lives whether we like it or not. They're everywhere. And with wireless technologies, they're in the streets, they're in the rivers, they're on houses, they're in trees, they're in the sky. There's even a LoRa satellite going around at the moment. So, what are the risks? Now, there's all the usual risks about strong passwords and all those sorts of things that we face with an ever-increasingly connected community. Lots of data going everywhere, lots of things being shared. But I think the biggest risk with the Internet of Things, and especially with the new technology of LoRaWAN, is that we are going to see a whole range of new businesses. And I'm already seeing lots of councils, government, businesses, private individuals who are getting LoRaWAN devices or LoRa sensors and going, I have no idea how to connect this thing, or they've paid a consultant to connect them to a thing, and they've got a lovely website with some graphs, and they don't know how to add their next device to it. So there is a lot of employment opportunity, a lot of business opportunity, lots of things we never really even imagined before, because even though the Internet of Things has been around, LoRaWAN's made it possible for little tiny devices that have batteries in them that can last up to 10 years and put in a park 10 kilometres away from a gateway. And this has implications for our privacy. It has implications in providing new services we hadn't even thought of. I remember I was around when internet wasn't even a thing, and nobody ever thought of things like Uber and all those sorts of things. And the internet's been around for quite a while, and it's taken a good 20 years before Uber, because all the pieces started coming together. And I feel that LoRaWAN's going a similar way. And so we have an Internet of Things device, so we have something that turns something on and off. We have something that monitors temperature or humidity or air quality or pH in a river, or lots of different kinds of sensors. We can turn on and off pumps at certain conditions or lights on certain conditions and so on. But that Internet of Things has to connect to the internet. And you can use a cellular network. It's a little bit battery consuming and expensive if you're only connecting one device. You can use Wi-Fi. Of course, Airstream's all about Wi-Fi, but that's very energy hungry. It's a non-line of sight, well, within a 30 metres non-line of sight. And then there's this new LoRa technology, which is phase shift keying, for those who want to know. It's it just sends out little tweets and twerps, and it's long range, low cost. Unfortunately, the compromise is speed. It's not a high-speed data network. It's not like internet. It's not. You can't stream anything over it. It's little packets of information. But this is, because it's released the Internet of Things out into the streets and it's using it's become quite internationally popular. And so there's been an alliance of many organisations to set up the LoRaWAN network. And apparently, this was last year, so they're saying by the end of 2019, there'll be 50 billion sensors connected to the LoRaWAN network. Now, unlike other systems, this is almost, if you're not talking about large deployments on a personal level, it's free. I like to call it free internet for robots. Uses ISM band like Wi-Fi does in the 900 megahertz range in Australia. Amateur radio people use a lot because they can use the satellite 433 megahertz band. There's a public park spectrum, and as you know, keep the power under control. Anyone can use it. So it's an ideal band for IoT. It's highly, you can encrypt your data. It's not a continuous data stream. It is sending it out in little tiny tweets, and they're authenticated, sent back, a bit like a Visa card transaction. You don't decrypt the data until you've actually got it at the Things network, you've registered the device, you've got your keys, and then using an MQTT connection to another server, then you can actually start using the data. This is not, so that blue area is the Things network. So we've got some long range, low power. Another thing about the LoRaWAN network is that it is a multi-port path system. So I currently have a sensor at the back of the room there, and it is connecting currently to 3 different gateways simultaneously. And that data, and from each gateway, it is going through a secure connection to the Things network, where the data is stored for a brief amount of time. And what you have to do is set up an account, set up a device, and then you can access the data from your particular sensor. But because you've got multiple points, you can have not only really excellent coverage over a large area, but you've also got multi-points of redundancy. So it's a little bit different than other architectures. So each gateway is connected to the internet, and each LoRa sensor can connect up to hundreds of gateways if they're in range. So the more gateways you have, the more coverage you have, but also the more redundancy you have, so it's more reliable. Because it's using the ISM band, because you can actually build this stuff yourself. So at the libraries, we've been running workshops on how to get a LoRaWAN shield, put it on an Arduino, code it up. You can buy off the shelf, so these two top ones, I'm sorry, I do have a kit that I normally brought and I forgot it. So that little sensor up here is a really nice one. A lot of people love that. It's about this big. The battery lasts 10 years and it measures humidity and temperature. And it's in a waterproof container, so you just screw it on things, put it anywhere. It has an internal temperature sensor or an external temperature sensor. You can stick that into something.
What's something like that worth?
$50 Australian retail. I think that's amazing. The lanyard's a really good one, and you can get that in different packages. That's got a GPS in it, and also an accelerometer and a gyro. So you can get these little boards, similar kind of things depending on how you do the timing where it wakes up and tries to talk to a gateway. And so you can not only track a position of something, like you can bolt it on to an asset and track its position. You can also know how high, which direction, and how fast that asset is moving. So it's very, very popular. You see there's a cow there in the corner there. You can buy little lanyard things. Same sort of cost. If you were to buy them in bulk and have them made in China, probably $2 each. So very, very cheap if you're building in bulk. This little chip is really the main cost of LoRaWAN. That's the thing that's kind of keeping it a little bit expensive, but there's some other manufacturers coming out with alternatives already because it is growing in so much popularity. Now, I've been a member of Airstream for a very long time, from very way back. I'm also a member of Hackerspace Adelaide. I'm also was on the board, no longer on the board of Hackerspace Adelaide, but I'm still a member. I'm also on the board of SA Makers, who set up the Makerspace in the city. And I work for Port Adelaide Enfield Libraries as the STEM Learning and Programs Officer. So what I wanted to do was to run information sessions like this so people know about LoRaWAN, but also run workshops so that people could learn actually the practical side of setting up the sensor and using it, because anyone in the community can use these things. You don't have to have special licenses, you don't have to have special training, you just need to know how to do it. But I needed to have more coverage in the area. So last year, Airstream helped me with Green Acres, and that site gets out incredibly well. At the same time, Port Adelaide Enfield set up 2 gateways, one at Valley View and one at Port Adelaide. And later in the year, we had a gateway helped to install that at Parks Library, and that gets out really well. And now we have complete LoRaWAN coverage across the entire Port Adelaide Enfield area. And of course there's gateways there are gateways in other councils like Prospect and Campbelltown, Tea Tree Gully. So, last year, April, this was the heat map of LoRaWAN, mostly around the city, mostly around people where people live who were involved in the LoRaWAN area. And this is now the coverage in Adelaide. You can see that most of the Port Adelaide. Now, one of them, and I think this will probably be interesting to members, is there's a misconception about this heat map. It is not a prediction, it is not a live coverage of gateways. It is data collected. I'm just going to grab this thing over here. This is currently operating. It actually has an Arduino board and a lithium battery and a LoRaWAN shield. And so this sensor, which hasn't got a sensor on it at all, it's just sending a text file. This sensor sends out a signal every 30 seconds, and it's picked up by a gateway. And my phone has some mapping software on it. See that? And so the gateway picked a number of gateways, and at the moment I've got 4 gateways, 5 gateways, 6 gateways this is talking to. And so what it does is it gets to the Things network, and I register my phone with the mapping app, and it gets my GPS location, and I've also given it access to the data from the Things network. And so each one of these dots here are a signal strength and position that my phone, or it's not my phone, other people's detect. So this has the GPS location, it's connected to the internet, and so it sends the information to TTN mapper of the position, the location of this device, and the gateway knows what the signal strength and which gateways it's talked to, and then it builds up a map over time. So this is the gateway, this is the Port Adelaide Enfield gateway. It's a proprietary commercial $15,000 unit. It has 2 gateways in one unit. And I think that's the way a lot of gateways are going to go. They have multiple. These things have multi-channel. They're often 8 channels, 9 channels. And this particular one has 2 radios with antennas sort of pointing in different directions. But each one of these, this radar picture that they've got here, the only reason there's a line there is that there was a car or a sensor that was linked up to a device, and that gateway picked that signal up. And then it's just drawing lines or creating the heat maps. These are the 2 gateways. So this one is Parks Library, and as you can see, it's a very flat area, but it's getting out really, really well. And in fact, we might go to the TTN mapper itself, and actually goes right across over to the other side of the peninsula, over the, whatever you call that strip of water. And that's the Green Acres gateway. and that gateway goes right to my house. I pick it up in the yard, almost inside the house. You know, it goes right down Portrush Road, a very strong signal. But you can see that the combination of those gateways and other gateways, the green gateways are the multi, so obviously that radio at Prospect's got 4 radios in it, it's got 2, it's got 2, it's got 4, 2, 2, 3. And then these are more, there's an Airstream one.
Seaton, yeah, that's another one we did late last year.
Yeah. Yeah, so last year I did some of these presentations. They weren't very well attended, but when people, and I covered a little bit more ground than I'm covering here, but everyone that attended was very, very interested. Ran some workshops, people attended the workshops, they were booked out almost immediately. I opened them up. Unfortunately, some people didn't turn up through them, but nobody's actually said they weren't interested and fascinated and wanted to know. And I had people on the waiting list and we filled them in. And however, I think that this is a new, I already know people who are looking for people who know how to set up gateways and put up aerials and do the software back-end side of things. There's certainly a big demand out in Gawler and out in the country areas and in stores. I think there's a lot of employment opportunity just in the IT community. I think there are interesting projects that can be done with this technology. So from that experience last year, so I've got coverage, that's lovely, people are really interested in it, but it's really boring and nobody wants to come because when you talk about LoRaWAN, it is really, really boring. And so what I'm intending to do this year is we're actually going to build and deploy a number of sensors across BAE. So some of our hands-on workshops will be building sensors like possum boxes or nesting boxes or air quality sensors. And what we want to do is deploy a number of sensors around in parks and waterways, monitoring wildlife, some other kind of sensor, maybe radiation monitoring. I know that there's people out north that want to do radiation monitoring. And so this year I'm working on running workshops in deploying sensors. So I'm really interested in networking with other groups, other community groups that might want to partner up with me. So I've got event spaces, I've got tools, I've got equipment, but what I need is enthusiastic people to get involved with it. And so I'm thinking that, and Troy and I have had lots of conversation over the years about Airstream and how important content on the network and having meaningful projects for members to get involved with. So I'm thinking that if you teach people how to, it's all very well teaching people to build a sensor. It's all very well to teach someone how to connect my home to a Airstream access point. What do I do with it after that? And so it's trying to give some purpose to so one of the air quality sensors, people are very interested in it because of the bushfires, but also people are starting to think that, well, what is healthy air? What is good air? I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is around my suburb. I have no idea. I see on the news the pollen count or something. So it's also empowering the community to actually do the monitoring themselves. I mean, we get the weather reports, but there are things like microclimates that are happening around. And if you had lots and lots of thermal sensors or moisture sensors, you'd be able to see groundwater movement, wildlife movement, pest animal movement, and so on. So that's really when I was talking to Tony, I was just saying, maybe Airstream like to team up. And that might mean that I just run a workshop with its branded Airstream. And Airstream members can come along to those meetings. You don't have to do anything. But I seem to think there's an opportunity to do some educational things. And if Airstream's got other, you're putting up other LoRa gateways on some of your sites. I also feel that because local government, state government and businesses, and I'm working with citizen science groups and they're interested in monitoring these things. If you want to get access to buildings to put up masts for the Airstream network, if you're providing gateways and demonstrating how because really the WAN is just the backbone of providing interesting content around our community. And schools will be interested in. I'm already having discussions with different schools about LoRaWAN and sensors. They're not concerned about the gateways on their roofs, but they want to deploy sensors. And there's still a number of black spots, like there is with mobile phone coverage. So it's another, if you're doing this area in citizen science and smart cities, what they call smart cities, governments are going to be local governments are going to be more interested in engaging with Airstream and allowing masts on the roof because you're doing more than just the Wi-Fi stuff. That's my feeling.
Yeah.
Any questions? I might.
If you could bring up the TTN mapper
That's what I was just thinking.
site, it'd be good to see what Seaton's doing as well, because we don't have an update on how that's operating since last year.
I'm thinking of how we get on the Kangaroo Island, the wildlife.
Oh yeah.
The bridge,
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
the wildlife's coming over there.
It doesn't go straight to the country that you want to go to when you've never visited this website before. It seems, I think it grabs a cookie or something. How do I zoom in on this?
There's a little bit, yeah. There you go.
But I remember a cookie. So, this is
The sum of all people that have been driving around.
yes.
Yeah.
The coverage is, from my experience, a lot better than what you see here, and a lot worse than you see here. So Seaton, if we right click on our
Yeah, I'm assuming that's it.
radar, and that should give us what's covered,
Oh,
which
good.
is pretty good.
Alright. Wow. Yeah, I reckon that was when Leo drove down to Normanville.
The blue lines are just like a connection.
A little ping, right?
Yeah, a little bit. The green and orange lines and red lines are much better. I think that's not showing.
Oh, their legend's a bit different to the other one here. Yeah, normally there's a legend there.
Yeah, there is. I think it's because we're just looking at. We just. Oh, this is different on this browser. So normally there's a heat map here.
Maybe it's getting chopped off the screen, I
Alright, so Linux.
think. Penguin ate it. Maybe that's good that season is coming up.
Yeah, and you're one up at
Cement Hill.
Cement Hill.
That should be booming.
That is booming.
It'd be. Is it long? Oh, it's more up near the sea cliff area. Just there, so yeah.
Yeah, not booming at the moment.
It'll be down.
Where's it?
Cement Hill.
It's alright, doesn't matter.
I know that's Leo's
Yeah, genius.
organisation.
Cool. There you go, what's the other side?
Right over there. And that's yellow. A lot of red down here in Aldinga. Now, farmers absolutely love this stuff, and I know you've had farmers present at estuary meetings.
Yeah. The river and the river.
Yeah. Because even this Arduino in this box runs a week on a charge on a lithium battery. And when it's a purpose made, there's some really lovely little boards now you can get, and you can put 2 AA batteries in it, and it'll last 5 years. 2 off-the-shelf AA batteries.
Yeah.
And it has something like 20 GPIO sockets on them, so you can do a lot with that.
LoRaWAN is not the only technology in this area. There's a couple others. What are the risks on just concentrate us on using LoRaWAN? Are there any, could LoRaWAN ever go broke? And
My understanding of that is that the LoRaWAN has had the greatest community adoption. The other one, Sigfox, is primarily a commercial adoption. Yeah, it's more commercial adopted.
So you get pay for your data and pay for your connection, license spectrum.
And Telstra have
device.
Telstra have one as well now, which is IoT over the cell, basically.
I think the beauty of this, I love this. It's almost what mesh Wi-Fi promised in the early days. But this actually does it. Because of the way it multipaths, and anyone can put up a gateway.
and the Internet of Things,
The Things Network, that's internationally funded. The only thing that we have, and when it's one of the largest companies in this space called Meshed company, who's probably won the contract for most of these gateways, does lots and lots of other gateways around Australia. They run a Things Network server. It doesn't stop anyone else running a Things Network server either. So you can have lots of Things Network servers. Currently Meshed is hosting the Things Network servers, but there's many overseas ones. So the gateway will communicate only with that server, which are all cloud-based servers, and aggregates it's aggregating all the data from all the gateways into one place, and then it's up to you as the sensor owner to then use the Things Network to filter out your particular device based on 3 keys, 128-bit keys, to filter that out and then to decrypt it, and then set up a pipe to whatever MQQT database thing on the other side. We've been using Node-RED, which is an open source piece of software. You can install it as a server, you can buy a license, online, but it runs off a crappy Raspberry Pi really well, and it's just it's all visual programming. So you just link it all up, and then you can do the code further in. But anyone can learn. It's really, really easy. And you can start generating graphs, and then you can use graphene. I think it's called graphene. Yeah, and link that to that, and you can have all sorts of lovely consoles in your website. Yeah. So yes, no, I don't think there's a problem. The take-up has been massive because all these gateways are independently owned.
It's more the things network back end and the fact that there's still some LoRaWAN stuff, hardware that's actually still proprietary, or people reverse engineer it.
There is the particular type of LoRa radio. That's a particular Amatel, I think. Well, I can't remember the name of the company, particular chip manufacturer. But they're producing those at 2 cents a pop. So they want everyone to use it. But there are some other manufacturers doing the same sort of thing with newer features and that sort of thing. But it doesn't change the architecture that we've got here.
I was just thinking that we're not relying on one company.
Yeah. No, we're not actually. No. But you could say that with a lot of the other technologies as well. There are.
I was thinking I don't care about the other stuff. I was thinking more just.
Yeah. There is a lot of hustle and bustle going on at the moment. There are lots of big players, particularly from India. They're very much into this space, and they're developing all sorts of things. Big corporations are climbing over each other to dominate the space. The LoRaWAN's grown in huge popularity because of its open source community-based thing. And there are lots and lots of companies looking for a reason to say this is not safe. And I've heard them. Oh, this is community, your assets are at risk, and blah, blah, blah. And as far as I know from experts I've talked to, because I'm not an expert, the encryption levels are equivalent to anything else on the market. So of course you could have it, but you think about it, you've got a temperature sensor that's sending out a tweet every 30 seconds, which is encrypted on the layer 1. You can't capture that in mid-air and then clone it like some car remotes used to do. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. And it's so random and specific to gateways, and then it goes through the internet through a particular pipe. It's a fairly robust technology. And we're not talking about continuous data like Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi, let's say someone hijacked 1,000 LoRa sensors and wanted to do a DOS attack. Those DOS attacks are going to be pretty feeble at, we're talking very low data rates and intermittent connections. Like people just go, what? It's not really going to be a big thing. Yes, please.
Thank you. Wow. More work to do for us. $50 a sensor. I'm sure we can start getting some sensors out there as well as gateways.
Oh, $20 a sensor at the moment, if you use a different plugins.
Add some more temperature monitoring or humidity to some of our sites. See how hot it gets up at Cement Hill. Who knows what we can do. Windy, yes. Cool, well, if we move along, we might go to the Bunnings report next to get John out of his seat. Just to fill us in, Bunnings had their information session on the 21st, was that last week, last Tuesday? So John can just fill us in a bit of what was covered there for anyone who's going to volunteer and any other information that they've provided.
So it's a bit applicable to anybody who's running a barbecue at Bunnings, not just if you're doing it for your own community. So this meeting was a little bit different from. We were invited by Josephine. What's her last name? Doesn't really matter. She's the coordinator at Bunnings Woodville, and she it wasn't so much a procedure and safety session. It was more of an update on some of the things that have changed, and so it involved the way that we've got to present our application to Bunnings. So there's information that we have to present to her differently. We have to be a bit more specific on what we're going to use the money for. They've tightened the criteria that we're allowed to use the money for. So things like we're not allowed to have any alcohol-related fundraising, whether we're building a bar or whatever. It was just one of the criteria. And on the other criteria was that the money must be used and stay within Australia. So you can't even use it to fund an overseas air trip, your personal travel to Cambodia or something, to help people out there. It's got to be used within Australia. But most of the other stuff was just tweaking of the other information. So then there was a question and answer session afterwards, and there was the one that was applicable to us is that we now must have a certificate from the local council on our food safety. Thanks, Tony. So it was very unclear before on whether it was applicable where we had to have a certificate, and we do now have to have one. So
And a certificate of incorporation.
yeah. Sorry about that.
We need a certificate. Then you need to give her a certificate of incorporation.
Yeah. So
Copy of.
yeah. So but we hadn't provided. In the past, we've had to write down that we were a corporation or information, but now she requires a bit more proof. So I've uploaded the document onto the Google Drive, and I've annotated it, and anybody's with
It's a bit wordy to, isn't it? Not going to open it.
Thanks, Rick.
So remember to look out for emails of requests for volunteers from the barbecue team whenever they're coming up. I'm not sure if there's one that's actually planned yet, because we've got to get all these other paperwork sorted now. So,
How do we deal with that?
There is a members list email with that information that John has provided.
they got sent out, so yeah, check your email as well for more information on the requirements for the upcoming barbecues, and yeah, look out for forthcoming emails about barbecues.
So they're more to do with the organisers of the barbecue, not the people who will be volunteering.
Yes.
So
No, just FYI for everyone. If you're going to volunteer, you don't need to worry about the paperwork. You'll just rock up and follow Tony or John or whoever's leading that barbecue's lead to make sure that we're compliant.
Couldn't have to be aware of that.
Yes, yeah. Read the 700-page document prior to. All right, moving on, we might get, I'm assuming Andrew is going to present some network updates and topics and chats that they've had this evening and prior. So come on down. You want your network meeting minutes up?
Maybe. I'd like to welcome everyone to 2020. We'll start off probably on a positive note and see what highs and lows this year does bring for Airstream. One of our highs we hope we haven't put aside yet is to get our project off the ground at Tonsley, so we're still looking forward to that. One of the lows for this year, it looks like we're going to be saying goodbye to Highgate Park, which has served Airstream well over the years, and been one of the flagships. Tonight, the group got together, we're very constructive, sort of planning initially to look at, without Highgate, how do we continue our network to provide across Adelaide, and also build in some redundancies. The communication was very constructive. It was in its early days, and there will be some documents to be circulated to everyone shortly. Open for anyone's comments, ideas, to see how we can get through this, hopefully not too tough time, but at least keep everyone still on hand communicating. We've had some potential sites offered to us, which the guys are currently looking at to find out how they can service, secure, cement and expand Airstream's network. The guys are doing a good job with that. Only early days, we've got a lot on the go to then see what project proposals, costings, etc. we need to do to get those up and running. We've had a few inquiries from a lot of members. There are some new members wanting connections. So with them, guys have sort of taken on board and taken people under their wing, given them advice of where they can connect, type of equipment, doing stumbles. So it's good to see that networking is still out there and trying to attract more members back into Airstream. We're always looking for, I suppose, to hear from people, what projects are on the go. If there's any assistance, we know there's still quite a few private networks out there and nodes that sort of complement the core nodes around the place to keep people running. You can probably see that there's a few of the sites that we've been looking at. Some people want to look around the Sefton Park area to get a couple of connections. We're looking at not just for those people to see how that can expand to other people. Brooklyn Park is a new facility which has been come on board, which may be able to help in the western suburbs. There's a couple of sites potentially dropping off in that area as tenants move around to new premises, building owners change, etc. Buckland Park is another site that's been reactivated and wanting to come on board, so the guys have been working with the guys out at Buckland Park to get the connection, do some testing, recommendations of equipment, seeing potential sites to give the best signal strength and to go further on out north, out towards Dublin. In the west, looking at, I suppose, some new backbones for the Seaton area to provide coverage to other members in that area. Suntrix has, I think, been on the topic for a while, so it's another area that may be able to assist with the demise of probably Highgate Park, but still something we'd like to possibly get off the ground and look at potential. The owners of the site are still keen for Airstream to establish something there, so it's something we'll keep on our agenda. Underdale's a site that we may possibly lose, so that's something we're looking at and see what else that can come through. Highgate Park we discussed, to see what the future is of that. At this stage, it's been given to the middle of the year, it has been extended, so it's something we're trying to get in early rather than leave it to the last minute. That'll probably be a staged rollout rather than everything happening at once to make it easy with the manpower that we have around the place. Also probably people in testing their skills, I suppose, starting to run the cables, mounting, working together as a team. So it'd be good to see some more faces come out and provide assistance. Enfield was another one that's been offered, which we're also looking to see how that can complement. Some of these sites can actually come about, and it's good to see Robert who wears multiple hats, but especially with his Port Adelaide Enfield Council hat. Airstream worked with those guys. They came to us with a challenge to assist putting up their LoRaWAN equipment. You can see through Robert what he's actually gained through those to be able to educate and also promote in-house with what council can do. Those partnerships do become fruitful, and through people like Robert, we also allow Airstream to expand and covering, I suppose, like the LoRa networks and black holes that we have. That's fairly quick, that's fairly brief, so I hope that gives people an idea of what we've got on the go. We're at the start of the year, so hopefully when this weather cools off a bit, we'll get into things and everyone's out of the holiday mode, and we'll hopefully see a few faces and all work together. So I'd like to thank you for your time and give you back to Sean.
Thank you, Andrew. Excellent. So, yeah, we're looking forward to an exciting year. More membership participation in all these builds is what we're looking for, so we can get many more of these projects off the ground. We've got money in the bank, just need people to get out and do the work. So come along for networking and members meetings and send emails around and inquire as much as you need. I don't think there's much else we had on announcements tonight. The meetings, yeah, so really upcoming meetings, look in your emails for notifications. We're going to be trying to alternate again this year between a few venues. Next month is likely Blair Athol, but we may have a new location, so we'll let you know on that. So check your emails. Hopefully we'll also get them updated on the website and Facebook this year, so we're trying to promote every channel we can to allow people to get into their calendars as early as possible. So look out, let us know if you do see it or if you don't, so we can try and update that source, because we want to get more people to know the meetings are on. Hopefully they can come and participate. And also look out for some more information on some social events. Sean and a few of the others are working on putting together some events, so we'll get some information out to members so we can start planning in advance and have something that's non-networking, non-building related, so we can just catch up and see how everyone's doing. So yeah, check your emails, check the website, and let us know if there's something we're missing or if there's something you'd like, so we can help service our membership base. So if there's not much else people have, thanks for attending, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think, if you've got any questions or comments, and if nothing else, we'll see you next month.